This is a really simple beginner's guide on how to use PMR446 and take part in the Sunday night 8 PM Channel 8 net that we're trying to grow across the UK. Now before I continue, make sure you go and check out the PMR446 Sunday night net Facebook group. There's a link in the description below and I've put it on the screen here so you can see what you're looking for. Now with the PMR446 net, there are next to no rules. Anyone can join in and say hello regardless of their experience. And the best part is you don't need a license. So here are some basic points to bear in mind before getting started. PMR446 is the UK and EU allocation for license-free or license-exempt radio communications. It spans 16 channels spaced 6.25 kHz apart and is used mainly by business users such as shops, building sites and security during the day, but after the working day is over, these users go quiet and the band is ideal for making personal two-way radio contacts for fun, such as quizzes, general chit-chat, and of course the Sunday night 8 PM Channel 8 net. The net takes place on a Sunday evening on Channel 8 from 8 PM and it's a great way of driving activity on PMR446 and hopefully encouraging people into amateur radio. The band is license free, or more accurately termed license exempt, which means anyone can use it. There is an amateur radio band just lower down the frequency spectrum called 70 centimeters, which runs from 430 to 440 MHz, and you do need an amateur radio license to use this. It requires a short and very simple course and a test which can be done at a local radio club or online. However, PMR446, which is on 446 MHz, a little bit above 70 centimeters, doesn't require any of this. There are however certain restrictions in place with the band being license exempt, which we'll cover further in the video. PMR446 is spread across 16 frequencies between 446.0 and 446.2 MHz, as you can see here. Most dedicated 446 radios come with these channels already programmed in, but if you're using something different, then it's important to make sure you're on the correct frequencies so as not to disrupt other bands or other channels. PMR446 radios can be picked up very cheaply and easily on websites such as Amazon, eBay and Argos if you're in the UK. They work straight out of the box and require little to no setup. Ofcom in the UK states that PMR446 users are reminded that their radios are only license exempt if they are built and operated within the conditions of the exemption regulation. If modifications are made to the equipment, such as adding an antenna connector, the overall maximum ERP or other technical parameters must not exceed the permitted levels set out in the interface requirement. This is another document available on the Ofcom website. And I'd encourage anyone new or experienced to read it, and the link is in the description below. Now ERP is quite complex, so I'll keep it as simple as I can. You may use a radio that outputs 0.5 watts on PMR446 through its attached antenna. However, using an external antenna may increase your ERP or effective radiated power. So let's say for example you use a 0.5 watt radio through a 7 dB antenna. Your ERP at half a watt from the radio is closer to 1.5 to 2 watts. Whatever equipment you use, remember height is might. The higher up you are, the better your signal will radiate. If you're using a handheld with the attached antenna, it's important to hold it close to your body as it acts as a counterpoise. Having the radio away from you can make it harder to pick up weaker signals. Now you may think that half a watt is of little use, but if you pick the right location, you can achieve significant distances on the radio to other stations many miles away. Location can make or break an attempt at creating a net on the radio, especially at higher frequencies such as PMR446. If you're sat in your living room downstairs, or if you're in a built up area, you have far less chance of making a contact than if you were in an open space or on a spot of high ground. It doesn't need to be majorly high, but just enough to allow your signal to radiate effectively from your radio's antenna. UHF is very line of sight and signals don't travel well through steel and concrete and hills and mountains. So if you want to get as many contacts as you can, Head out to your local hill or even to the top of a multi-storey car park or a tall building or anywhere that will help you get as high as possible. Now, you don't need to use a call sign on PMR as it doesn't require a license. Some people mistakenly use their amateur radio call signs, but PMR446 isn't an amateur band, so this shouldn't be used. You can use your name or what is known as a handle like on CB, or some opt to use Charlie Tango call signs. If you Google Charlie Tango to visit the website, and you can apply for a free call sign there. Again, this is optional. I use Ringway Manchester because I advertise the net on my social media and YouTube, so I thought it'd help people identify me, although Lewis would suffice. Channel 8 is the calling frequency for PMR446, and this is used on the net to call out for contacts. Usually you should move to another channel after making a contact to allow others to call out. In the first few nets, I stayed on the calling channel to try and keep activity flowing, but if you're high up, you may stop others from putting calls out. Now, it's nice to give a signal report, location and your name to the contacts you make. Don't be put off by people using fancy jargon such as QRZ, QTH and QSL and things like that. These are QR codes which I'll put on the screen so you can see what they mean. It's just an amateur radio habit that gets carried over onto 446. It's perfectly fine just to press the PTT and say, is anybody there or can anybody hear me? As long as you don't use swear words and abusive language, you'll easily make a contact. And don't listen to anyone who says things like, this is my channel, this is my frequency. They're nobody's frequencies. It's a license-free, multiple use band. If a conversation is in place on a certain channel, then simply find another one to use. Now finally, you may wish to log your contacts for future reference. It helps you visualise your coverage and keep track of the stations you work. It also is handy to share your logs to encourage others to take part in the net. So if you want to do this, then go over to the Facebook group and you can share anything you need to there. So I hope you found this beginner's guide to PMR446 useful. Feel free to share it around and let's try and get as many people on the band as possible. Remember, the net is every Sunday night, Channel 8 at 8 PM, and if you switch on and there's nobody there, keep calling until somebody comes back. There's always people out there. Check the Facebook group for more information and feel free to share your logs, tips and photos on there. And all that's left to say is 7-3. Hopefully we'll catch you on a PMR446 net on a Sunday very soon. 7-3.